Hello and welcome to the transcription explanation of this design. It is probably the most impressive thing I've made thus far, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So this was done using Loren Sherman's fan-made Gallifreyan script, same as pretty much everything else I've done, which uses a combination of dots and lines on these 4 different stems to make the consonants. And vowels are smaller circles, and they're kind of tricky because they're different depending on if they're enclosed on one of these 4 consonant stems or if they're just alone on the word circle. So this is like an E by itself, an I by itself, a U by itself, O by itself, an A by itself. Whereas an E in the consonant stems for like the B, be like right in the middle of the B, right in the middle of the J, right in the middle of the T, and then right in the middle of the TH. So yeah. This design, I pull out kind of all the stops and do all of the tricks. So bear with me as we go through it, because it's got some pretty nuts sentence structure in here. So the general rule of thumb is reading bottom counterclockwise. So this is kind of like the big paragraph circle all around here. And there are a couple like little sentence circles and structures in here. So this thing is a sentence chunk. These guys are kind of like their own chunk. This is a sentence chunk. These guys are kind of like a sentence. And then this is a little chunk, and this is the last chunk. So anyway, the chunks kind of go bottom counterclockwise, and then within the chunks they go bottom counterclockwise. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop to it. So here's our first chunk, here's the bottom of it, here's our bottommost word, and here's our bottommost letter. So it starts here. So this is a deep divot, so we're in this row. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Lines passing through it don't count, but there's some dots around. There's 1 dot, 2 dots, 3 dots. Let me turn off my notifications. So we have 3 dots because this will take a minute. And so this is a D. And then in the middle of it, we have a little circle. And you can tell the vowels from the dots because vowels are empty in the middle. And it is within our word circle. Within our consonant stem. So it would be an E because it's within the consonant stem with no lines ending on it. So like this. So D, E, continuing around. Here we have shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 lines. So S. Again, lines passing through don't count. I'm going to stop saying that after this. I'm just going to count the ones that don't pass through it. So another shallow divot with nothing on it because lines pass through it don't count. And then we have a small circle with 1 line going towards the middle. So the lines going towards the middle, they can be curved or whatever, but this is an I because it's a vowel with a line going towards the middle. Then we have another bigger circle inside our word circle with 1 line, so that is an N. And then we have a circle on the line of the word circle with a Y. So destiny. Continuing around, here's our next thing. Here's the bottom of it. Excuse my stuffy nose as well. So here we have a little circle with a line going towards the middle, so just like this one, it's an I. Then we have another S just like this one, so is. And then we have these guys, which do kind of look like A's hanging out on this word, except this is closer to here, which is a bit big for an A. It's kind of tricky because sometimes I do my A's big because there's no nothing outside the word circle that is other than an A. But anyway, this is the word because it's a little A on the word circle with nothing else on it. So destiny is A. And then here's our last word here. Here's the bottom of it. Here's a deep divot with 1 line. So deep divot 1 line is a G. And then we have another I going towards the middle. And then 1, 2, 3 lines on the F. And then a shallow divot with nothing, which is a T. So F, T. So destiny is a gift, and then we have, so this sentence circle has the double line going around it. So here's the thick line and the thin line. And then periods are open circles on our sentence circle. So this is a period at the end of this sentence. So destiny is a gift, period. Here's our next chunk. Here's the bottom of it. And this one is set up just kind of on these lines, which is an artistic choice I used to fill up the space and make kind of a cool pattern. But anyway, here's our first word. Here's the bottom of it. Here's the bottom letter. Got a lot of stuff going through it, but only 1 line ending on it. So that is a N with an E in the middle of it because no lines end on it. Then we have just this one little line here ending on the V. Another E on the line of the word circle and then 3 dots on the R. So never. And then we have 1, 2, 3 lines on the deep divot, so it's another F, just like this. So F, then we have an O, it's inside the word circle, so it's an O. like this. Now, another 3 dots on the R, then 1 line on the G, because passing through, 1 line. G, another E, just like this one. And it's okay to have the circles break or not break underneath vowels and underneath the TH stems. It's just an artistic choice. So I kind of want to erase that. No, but it matches the O, which I can't erase. Anyway, I'm going to keep that there. So that is the E, and then we have a T stem with nothing on it. Never forget. And then we have a TH with nothing on it. A, T, so that. Then we have 1, 2, 3 lines on a deep divot, another F, E. Here's A hanging outside the word circle. Here's a shallow divot with 3 dots. So that's another R, just like these guys. So F-E-A-R, fear. Then we have the bottom of this. This, if it were a proper stem, would probably be read first, except it is not a complete stem. It's just the lines on this S here. So this is the first thing we read. It's an I, just like this I. And then 1, 2, 3 lines on the S. So is. So here's our next word. We have a deep divot with nothing on it, which is a B. Just like an I, U's have lines coming from them, except their lines are going more towards the outside than towards the inside. So this is a U. And then we have a T, because it's got nothing on it. Then we have a TH, E, because E's are like this or like this. So the. Then here's our next word. Here's the bottom of it. Here's our first letter. It has this curving line on it. So even though it looks like it's a full circle, it breaks here. So it ends here and ends here. So this is a P because it's this stem with 2 lines. So P. And then we have 3 dots on an R, E, 2 dots in the K with a line going outwards. So that's a U. These 3 dots are kind of cheesy. They're on this R, but I wanted to make them line up and fit them in here. So yeah, even though this one is closer to the K, it's kind of cheese here, but these 3 dots go with this R, so R. Then we have 1, 2, 3 lines on the S with an O on the S, like a beat on a string, like that. And then we have 3 dots on the R here, so precursor. And then we have bottom counterclockwise. Here's a shallow divot with nothing on it, with an O, so 2. And then we have the bottom here. We have 1 line on the shallow divot, which is a V. A, 3 dots on the L. O, hanging out like a bead on a string, like that. And then 3 dots on this R, which again has that same trick, just keeping the dots in line. So, yeah. Valor. And then we have our comma. It's a thick circle on a double word circle line, which I just kind of stuck this on the overall paragraph circle. Whatever, because this didn't have really a word circle. So, I put it there. Okay, here's our next dealio. This has some stuff happening. So, this, like, outer ring here, they're just kind of decorations. This one's a line on an I, but this is just kind of denoting that there's a sentence here. Just like this being thick, I just made this multiple lines. Same thing with these guys here. The first fun stuff starts happening in here. So these are broken apart word circles. So you'd still read them kind of going bottom, well, not kind of. You read them bottom kind of clockwise, and these are just those stems. Well, kind of bare bones Gallifreyan. So you read this bottom counterclockwise, and when they break, it's a new word. So here is our first letter of our first word. T stem with nothing on it, T. B stem with 2 lines, so deep divot, 2 lines, H. And hanging outside, and another T, so that. T, O, 2. And then 3 lines on a shallow divot is an S. We've seen lots of S's before. S, T, 3 dots on the R. I, V, E, strive. A, N, D, because 3 dots on the deep divot, 1 line on the circle inside the circle. A's are outside the word circle. T, R, I, U. And then we have 3 lines on a circle inside the circle, which is an M. And 2 lines on a circle inside the circle, which is a P. And then 2 lines on the deep divot, which is an H. So triumph with a comma. And then here's our next bit. This is just proper, like this, set up as a sentence circle. Here we have the bottom word, bottom letter. Counterclockwise is this I. And then this is kind of hard to see. but this thick line passes through it, but this thin line ends on it, so that's one line, so that is an N. So in, THE, just like this little the hanging out here. So the kindergarten. This F is kind of hard to see too because this looks like it could be an O, but it's just a line that ends here and here. So 1, 2, 3, and then these two pass through. So F, here's the A hanging outside on this line, A, and then 1, 2, 3 lines on the S. Oh, I should also say why I'm like writing S's in the word face. In this script, you only use the letter C if it's a proper noun. So otherwise you use an S or a K depending on what sound the C makes. And again, my stuffy nose is driving me nuts. So 1, 2, 3 lines on the F, A, 1, 2, 3 lines on the S, thick one passes through, and then we have the E on face. And this one's kind of big for a vowel, but it was in the middle, so I made it big. So, and it's not that big for a vowel. It's the same size as the A. So face, then O, F, 1, 2, 3 lines on the F, and then we have 1. So this little one ends on the word circle, so it doesn't count, because it doesn't quite make it all the way to the F circle, but this thick one, and this thin one definitely end on it, so that's an F, E, A, and then 3 dots on the R. So in the face of fear, and then comma. These commas are like that. And then continuing on, these guys are just kind of like around. Yeah. These have no real sentence structure. It's just continuing around bottom counterclockwise on the phrase. The phrase circle is really the word circle that gives this its order. But anyway, here we have an I, one line going towards the middle, and then 1, 2, 3 lines on this S. So is, this thing has a shallow divot here with 1, 2 lines on it, just the thick ones in here, the thin one goes through. So that is a W. 2 lines on the shallow divot. Deep divot with the thin lines ending on it. So 1 thin line ending on it there, 2 thin lines ending on it there. Makes that an H. A's hanging outside that. And then we have a shallow divot with nothing ending on it. So that is a T. So what? And then this word I kind of did a little cheaty bit thing on. I made it actually brush up next to here for the T stem. But anyway, I, T. So there's like an invisible little shallow divot here that's cutting the word off. Yeah. It was just so I could get this a little bit closer to it. Yeah. This is something I do stylistically for some designs where everything is this kind of overlapping T-stem. But this is the only T-stem that does that in this design. So, yeah, I kind of break my own little rule there of if I'm going to do it, I do it a lot so people know what to look for. But this isn't it. I figured it would be an easy enough word to figure out. So it, and now we have this word. We have a circle inside the word circle with 3 lines. This little line does connect all the way up to it. So 1, 2, 3. So M, E. And then we have an A hanging outside that. Then we have an N, 1 line on a circle inside the circle. And then this guy, 1, 2, 3 lines on a shallow divot is an S. Oh, and the distinguisher between a shallow divot and deep divot is shallow divots are 50% or less completed, whereas deep divots are well over 50% completed circles. So yeah, this one is shallow. So is, and then we have this thing, and it's this thick line is the word circle, but it's got a big ol' T stem with that big ol' O on it. So 2 can sometimes be kind of tricky. This is word 2. Because we have that T stem with nothing on it, and then a big ol' O, like an obnoxiously large beat on a string on that. So 2, and then we have this word. It is a deep divot with nothing on it with an E in the middle. So B, because this is a B, E, B. Now this is kind of hard to tell here, but this thing can't be a vowel because it's got 2 lines ending on it, because it is the A word circle. So this little dot here, this little vowel, is the A on this word circle because the whole word is just So yeah, this is the word This is not a vowel on this, even though it very much looks like one because these 2 lines end on it. And there are no vowels with multiple lines. Ugh, my stuffy nose is killing me. Okay, so here we have a deep divot with 1, 2 lines on it. So H with an E in the middle of it. Continuing around, here's that shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 dots closest to it, so that's another R, and then an O inside that word circle, and then the period. So hero, H-E-R-O, period. And now we have this 1, 2, 3 dots on a deep divot, so that is a D with an O on it. Then we have an N with one line, an apostrophe, which is these two lines going to towards the sentence circle. I continued them through just to, fill up some of the empty space here. So, yeah. And then we have a T, this shallow divot with nothing on it. So don't. And now we have this one, T, because none of these lines end on it. Then H, because these two lines end on it. The I has this little tiny line ending on it. And then we have this is our only case of stacked circles in this thing as well. So if there are two circles of the same stem, you can stack them on top of each other and you read thin to thin. So this is both in this row, and we have the thin one, which has one line on it, so that is an N, and then the thick one, which has two dots by it, so that is a K. So don't think, and then we have our period, and then we have our very last word. We're almost done. Here's a deep divot with nothing ending on it, so that's just a B with an E in the middle of it. Now we have this. It's a circle inside the circle, and this is just an obnoxiously large dot on the K. This is the second dot, so 1, 2 dots on the K. And then we have an O, smaller circle, hanging out inside the word circle. And then 1, 2, 3 lines on the M, just like this M. And then we have an E at the end of our little word. And then on this sentence circle, we have 1, 2, 3 dots, which is an exclamation point. So don't think, become exclamation point. So yeah. Destiny's a gift. Destiny is a gift. Never forget that fear is but the precursor to valor, that to strive and triumph in the face of fear is what it means to be a hero. Don't think, become.